Board. Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm excited to have Corey Thompson on the show today to talk about our nutrition and health and how really you can optimize your health from the inside out with proper nutrition and areas that we need to often supplement with, because it's hard to get all of our nutrition from the food we eat unless you're going to eat nose to tail that I don't like to do. So thanks, Corey, to come on my show. And it's great to see you live in person. Kind of our new live is talking to people on video now.
I know, Debbie, thank you so much for having me. And, I'm just excited to have a conversation with you. So it's so great. I've been home with my family, and so I'm certainly not alone or anything like that. But anytime you have an opportunity to reach out and connect with people these days, it's just such a pleasure. And especially if we get a chance to talk about some of the things that we're passionate about.
Well, that's what I've been doing lately is recording a lot of interviews with people that share this passion that I have to help other people really understand, as we're talking about what is healthy. And as we're in this new coronavirus pandemic, and it's worldwide, it's the whole world, we're connected together, is a positive, but I think it's an opportunity to educate the world on what is health. What does it mean when you say get healthy, stay healthy, optimize your health? Because I don't really believe majority of people understand what health is, what's immune system, that your immune system is 80% in your gut, and how do you improve your gut health, and why most all of us have gut dysfunction and leaky gut. Before we go there, can you just talk about who you are? I forgot to add that in, but let's chat first about you, who you are, and what's your background.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Corey Thompson. I'm a chiropractor by training, and I practiced for about 18 years. Now what I do is I'm a product expert and practitioner expert with a company called Ancestral Supplements. Just to kind of give you a little background, I really was a pretty conventional chiropractor, if that's a thing. So the predominance of my career was really focused on injury rehabilitation and things like that. And I got some wonderful opportunities to work with a wide variety of people. I tell people all the time, I got a chance to work with homeless people and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and everything in between, including professional athletes, and but pretty conventional in my thought about how to treat patients. I worked in a lot of integrated settings with medical professionals and physical therapists and a wide variety of people. And I treasure those experiences because learned something in every bit of those things. But later in my career, though, I started to get a little bit frustrated with the whole thing, and just frustrated with the fact that I didn't think patients' outcomes were as good as they should have been. And earlier in my career, I didn't embrace nutrition the way that I should have. And so I started down this personal path for me that started with a foray into a ketogenic diet, and that opened up this whole new world and this whole new intellectual curiosity for me. And I became a student of Mark Sissons and all of the founders of that movement, and did the Primal Blueprint health coach training and some things like that, and really just kind of opened up this floodgate of information that I began to incorporate into my personal life, but also into how I thought about how patients should be treated. And it did a couple of things for me. One of the things that it did was it certainly brought to mind the hundreds and hundreds of patients that I had been a part of treating over the years, and their faces, and to think that I could have done so much more for them. And so that's been a real motivational thing for me moving forward. But what Ancestral Supplements and my role there has enabled me to do is to really have a platform where I can have an influence on influencers. So I can work with people who can take this message and they can take it to the people that are in their sphere of influence or with their patients, to really have a greater impact. And so it's been really, really rewarding doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I love Mark Sisson's information. I know his book. I have it somewhere on my bookshelf here, but you know, he was one of the beginning guys out there with Mercola, probably talking about health. And in Paul Chek, I did Paul Chek's program years ago too. And it's the same thing, you know, working on all of the whole individual. And that's what I did with Ben Greenfield's program in 2011, 12 is the Superhuman Coach program. And I just did his Keon program, which is kind of the next phase of it. But I think it's, you know, all these people were figuring out, as we did ourselves, that there's more to be healthy. As you were working as a chiropractor, I was personal trainer. I couldn't really help people with just like, probably with you, just a chiropractic adjustment, with just personal training them two times a week. I wasn't really making progress getting them really healthy. So define what is ancestral health, and then we can kind of go into what is health itself.
Yeah. One of the things that we say at Ancestral Supplements is we don't really view ourselves as a supplement company. We really see ourselves as evangelists for these ancestral health principles. We believe that we live currently in a world that we were not designed to live in. And that the way to optimize our health is to get back to as many of those ancestral health tenets as we can and implement those things into our lives. And so that's the best way to optimize our biology. And so, you know, very simply, that is living like our ancient ancestors would live. But more specifically, it means paying attention to and trying to mimic those methods in how we sleep, in our daily activities, in how we avoid certain dangers in the world, like EMFs and chemicals in the things that we eat and hormones and all of those things. It's about all of those little things that we can do to reach back into the past and act in today's world in a way that best suits our DNA.
Yeah. And that's what I keep as I'm writing my self-care with the Holistic Method little ebook this month, since I'm at home working every day. And it's really, you know, I'm looking at Karan from Microbiome Labs we did an amazing podcast the other day that I posted on our video. It'll come out in the audio version, but just on microbiome health and really how health starts. You know, Hippocrates said how many years ago that all disease starts in the gut. And I keep talking about gut health is immune system is, you know, connected to healthy, and how there's a video Karan did a few years ago that I've been watching, taking notes on, but it's environmental triggers that are setting this whole immune response. And that kind of is what I've been trying to research and write about, the inflammatory response and how that's all connected. So what's your definition of health and optimizing health?
Well, I think we love the word robust. And so if we can become a robust human being, then all of these little aspects of health kind of resolve themselves. So if you want to talk about something like immunity, so where if you have a healthy immune system, you're likely a very healthy person. So if you're doing all of these other things to make yourself a robust human being, you probably have a healthy, robust immune system. And so one of the things that we've been trying to express through social media and things like that during this time and with our customers is focus these principles of health, and then just allow your body to do what it naturally wants to do, which is thrive. So health is just it's where our bodies are working within their design to do what they are designed to do, where everything's kind of hitting on all cylinders. That's to me, that's kind of health in a nutshell. You know, how to get there is, you know, that can be kind of a multi-step process that you kind of have to unravel.
Yeah, it's like what I was just sharing with you before we started recording, that I've been trying to help people. And I created the Holistic Method program 5 years ago, wrote a book, put a manual together, a chapter in each of these 8 elements, really how to optimize your health from the inside out. And then I put a workbook on there in the back of it and all these different things to, you know, work on who you are and inner core and then work on your outer core. And it's just like, okay, this is now finally when people should be looking at this and thinking, am I healthy? Am I
Yeah.
doing everything I can right now to optimize my health? But they don't understand it's at a cellular level and how we
Right.
need
Right.
balance. And I looked up the definition of homeostasis, and I'm writing this ebook, and it's like, what is homeostasis? Balance of all these body systems. And I always use the word the Goldilocks effect for exercise, for example, not too much, not too little. And all this stuff, even with carbohydrates for people doing low carb keto, is, find the right amount for you, because it's all bio individuality, and our own genetics and working on your epigenetics, your environment is so essential. So what does the Ancestral Supplements do to help kind of fill in those voids that we're missing and creating that optimal body mechanisms to get everything working together like an orchestra, as I say?
Right.
Like all the body systems have to be working together as a team, and sometimes we need to add some missing parts to keep the body working.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of different ways of thinking about how to approach sort of health in general, or fixing your issues or problems or things like that. So sometimes we do need to be rescued out of a situation that we're in. So that's where good diagnostic testing and blood testing and things like that can come into play, because you can get a glimpse of what's really going on and where your deficiencies are. And sometimes I think that it's necessary to add those specific nutrients or elements into a person's diet in order to sort of rescue them from the dire situation that they may be in. And certainly, like you were saying, our bio individuality, our specific genetics and SNPs or other things that we may have that may give us a greater propensity to have issues with certain biological processes or certain cellular processes, and may lead to towards deficiencies in certain nutrients or things like that. So we may need to look at those things on an individual basis and do whatever we need to do to rescue a person out of that. But in our way of thinking, the best way to be healthy with regards to nutrition is to eat a complete diet. And one aspect of that is eating nose to tail. So we are big believers in eating nose to tail. We believe that our ancestors ate nose to tail, that our forefathers and mothers, their DNA was written in a way that they ate nose to tail. And so the organs have some really unique properties. We love to think about the principle called like supports like. So in other words, nature has provided a perfect little package for us to get the nutrients that we need to support our own organs. So the organ of a healthy animal, for instance, like a heart, all of the nutrients that it needs, with all the little cofactors that it needs, all the little peptides and other things that our heart needs to be healthy, are packaged perfectly in that animal's heart. So there's no guesswork involved. So it's not, okay, well, I'm deficient in vitamin A, but I'm also going to need, I'm deficient in this other cofactor that I need in order to utilize that properly. All of those things are packaged together in a way to allow your body to absorb and utilize those nutrients in the best way possible. So it really removes a lot of the guesswork. If you got a heart problem, you eat heart. If you have cognitive issues, you eat brain. If you have kidney dysfunction, you eat kidney. And there's value in, and even if you don't have specific conditions that you're trying to support with this targeted support, there's value in eating all of those organs because they're so nutrient dense. Yes. We tell people all the time that everyone should be eating liver. Liver is one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet. And there are things that you get in the form that you need them in liver that you really just aren't going to get anywhere else. So if you're not going to do anything at all, maybe you're not going to eat brain or kidney, but if you're going to eat anything at all or include some organ in your diet, it ought to be liver. But the reason we exist is because we know that the vast majority of people are not going to do that. So,
Like me, who
yeah.
grosses out on
Well,
eating
I will
heart.
tell you that I'm now my mom and my grandparents ate organs on a regular basis. They're Southern from Louisiana, and so that's just something that they did. They
It's normal.
hunted and they ate liver and kidneys and all of that sort of thing. So it's just a normal part of their diet. But between my mother and father's generation and mine, that was somewhat lost. And I think that's probably the story for a lot of people. It is something that I have learned to love in the past couple of years. But it's not something that I would say is natural to me. And I don't know that there's a lot of people that are going to want to take the step to try to source and prepare and consume those things on a regular basis. And so what we've done is we've just taken the organs of grass-fed, grass-finished cows from New Zealand, which if anyone knows anything about New Zealand, they really set the world standard for animal husbandry. Mm-hmm. So we take those organs, they're freeze-dried, they're desiccated into a powder, they're put into a pure bovine gelatin capsule. So you can take advantage of eating nose to tail by just popping a few capsules in your mouth and washing them down.
And so there's different ones that are available. As you said, ideally we get this from real food, but there's people like me who, gross out. And then there's people also like me that don't even want to see on the bottle that they're eating heart, liver, kidneys.
That's right. That's right.
And so I was telling them that they should suggest labeling them by colors and putting, thrive and robust right. and immune booster and these different words, because I find that, they're kind of ex-vegetarian and not a big animal eater, even though you need all these nutrients. And I understand it. And I've been trying to do more keto carnivores the past year, but what if there's people like me who are psychological issues with eating organs?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the amazing things about our company is that we really pride ourselves on the customer service part of things, and we have a lot of interaction with customers. It's so fun because we really get to know many of them and have had consistent communication with a lot of people for years. And we have a lot of customers who are ex-vegetarians, or they actually may still identify as vegetarian, but have come to this point in their health where they know they need these things. And this is the only way that they're going to do this because they have a hard enough time eating a steak, much less eating organ meats. And so we've had lots of conversations with those sorts of people and have all the compassion in the world for people that are squeamish about that. But it's something that you can overcome. And if you had to just take the label off the bottle and just and not just try to just mix it in with the other things that you might be taking and just go from there. So, but it does provide an opportunity for those people to do that in a really palatable way. And then we have other people that are kind of on the other end of the spectrum that are kind of in the Paul Saladino camp, where they are big proponents of eating nose to tail. They are eating nose to tail on a regular basis, but something like our supplements provides an opportunity for them to do that when they're traveling or things like that. Just a more convenient way to continue to get those things.
Are you a strict carnivore yourself? Or are you kind of a keto carnivore?
I would say I'm a fluctuating carnivore. So it really depends on what I'm doing and if I'm training for something specific or if I have some specific goals or things like that. So I'm not strict. I'm not in the strict carnivore camp like Paul, even though I have the greatest respect for Paul. He's a friend and I think he's doing tremendous work there. And so there are times when I'm strict carnivore, but there may be times when I have other goals and I may be mixing things like organic rice or organic potatoes or things like that into my diet as well. So
I'm always a thing about making it sustainable and not labeling anything. So, I don't like to say I'm this or that, just
Mm-hmm.
eating by what I feel and what my body needs, and knowing, okay, if I eat this, I'm full and satisfied and energized for hours and I don't eat as much.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have like carbohydrates, I'll be full, or I won't be full. I'll still be
Right.
like, I need something. So I know my own body needs more protein. I've done the metabolic typing test, and it says, a
Mm-hmm.
fast or slow oxidizer. So I need more fast oxidizers, that I need more protein.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go by the blood type, I'm O type, and that says more protein, red meat. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what my Chinese medicine, he always tells me, my acupuncturist, eat more meat. So I know for me
Mm-hmm.
as an individual, I need it. So I've been trying to get myself to have it a little more. I have Butcher Box. We ordered 3 times
Mm-hmm.
this month with our stay at home thing going on.
Yeah.
But, eating the red meat, having more grass fed beef and steak is good. But I think, as I said, I'm not one to start eating liver, but I know I have so many nutrient deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And me as an individual, my background is HP axis
Mm-hmm.
dysfunction and health issues starting back in 2013 that became obvious. I probably had them years before that, and doing lab testing many times. And I just retested my own labs, and I have still in my stomach organ, H. pylori. So it
Mm-hmm.
kind of correlates with my symptoms of oxidative stress and poor protein digestion, because
Mm-hmm.
H. pylori hides in your stomach organs. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not acidic enough, so I can't break down protein. So then you're not getting your amino acids. Then you're not making neurotransmitters, making muscle,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. So as an FDN practitioner, I'm very passionate about making sure everyone does the bioindividuality, but you're doing functional lab testing to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what's your best program to work for you,
Right.
and figure out these hidden internal stressors, especially now, to be healthy. But going back to your supplements, as someone like me who is deficient and is having HP axis, still, low cortisol levels, and my hormone panels are all still low, and I'm liver congestion, detoxification pathways,
Mm-hmm.
which most people have. Most people, because of internal stressors, are going to have gut dysbiosis, are going to have leaky gut. So really looking at optimal health, as we say as FDN practitioners, is hidden internal stressors:
Mm-hmm.
hormones, immune, detox, digestion, energy systems, and nervous system. So I think that correlates very well when we create a nutrition and a supplement program for an individual, looking at the benefits of grass-fed beef organs, beef
Mm-hmm.
liver. I'm going to change the names: the red bottle and the orange bottle. So talk about kind of what your thoughts are with that, and how these different black, gray, and red and orange bottles help with our needs that we have for creating optimal health.
Sure. So what we generally suggest is that somebody start with something really basic. So many of us, if you're working with a practitioner, and so you do have a better idea of what your specific issues are and what those root causes may be, then you can have a specific strategy. But for so many people, they seem to present with a variety of these seemingly unrelated symptoms. And maybe there's some multiple autoimmune conditions going on, or something like that. But sometimes it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. It's all these
Yeah.
little different things going on all at the same time. And so that's one reason for most people we suggest to just start with some basic fundamental nutrition first. So start with something like liver, and then we have a product that we call bone marrow. Bone marrow is bone matrix, it's bone marrow, and then it's all the cartilaginous tissue that's in the femur down into the knuckles of the hoof. And so I know, but when you combine those things, what you're doing is you're getting this really broad range of nutrient dense support. And those nutrients present in those two will go to support organs and systems throughout the body. So it's just a good foundational place to start. And very often, just by adding those things in, a variety of these issues will begin to resolve themselves. So if you you have nutrient densities that may affect multiple things. You fill in those gaps, and all of these systems seem like they come back online. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes the issues with a specific organ require greater targeted support. And so what we tell people is give it a little bit of time on this fundamental support. And then beyond that, if you still find that there are specific organs or systems that are lacking, that's the time when we can layer in some more targeted support. And that's why we have the full array of organs, the nose to tail line. So if you find that you've utilized this fundamental support, you still think that you're suffering from this, so like HPA axis sort of issues, maybe that's the time to start with something like brain. So our brain is a full brain extract, which includes the hypothalamus and it includes the pituitary gland. And so you're getting some more direct, targeted support for that aspect of that condition. The other great thing is that brain, first of all, tissues that are more metabolically active are going to be more nutrient dense. And we know that our brain is the most metabolically active tissue in our body. And so it's just rich with all sorts of things. One of the things that brain is very rich in that can be very helpful with HPA access or adrenal sort of issues is it's very rich in phosphatidylserine, which is known to be a good balancer of cortisol levels. So it can help to kind of even out cortisol. Beyond that, if you continue to have issues after layering that in, we have an adrenals product. And so that can be something that's helpful. If you find that in that whole HPA axis sort of syndrome, you're also having thyroid issues, you can consume thyroid. We have a thyroid product. So that's the general philosophy, though, is to start with some real fundamental nutrition. Make sure other aspects of your nutrition are all in line as well. And then beyond that, if you continue to struggle, let's start layering in these other things.
Well, this is a good example why we need, if you're not getting results, you're kind of stuck. What we say in FDN is the cycle of trial and error. You're just like, I'm going to try this. All right, next few months that didn't work. I'm going to try this didn't work. That's why I'm such, as I said, big believer in running functional labs with clinical correlation, then figure out which supplements to take, because if you don't find out your hidden internal stressors, I have no clue that I've had still this H. pylori. I had it tested in 2013, and I had this other blastohominus that I got rid of with a protocol, but some bugs are harder to get rid of and they're undetected. But I have all these random unexplained symptoms that, like, all right, how come I'm still struggling? For me, it's running, that my heart rate goes up high. And so it correlates, you put all the missing pieces of the puzzle together, why I'm not better, because I'm doing everything, but I have this chronic internal stressor that's causing inflammation. And so going with their whole worldwide pandemic with the COVID-19 issue, I think it's so essential for people to know what's under the hood, because I had no clue. And I'm like, oh, I've been wasting all these years trying to do everything possible to get healthy, but I didn't run another pathogen stool test and my hormone panel to know what's going on. And a leaky gut test, you can do too, and other ones. So food sensitivities is another huge one. So doing all these labs, because figuring out which supplement to take, I think you're still kind of stuck. So those aren't getting results. Like, how do you know if you need heart, thyroid, pancreas, and and I think I understand the benefit, because it's disgusting to eat a brain, but I get it. But where should people start with more of just to optimize their health, generally speaking? Do they start with the beef organs, and then, like, how do you know if you need just liver or just thyroid or all these different ones?
The first thing that I would say about that is there's value to eating any organ and all of them, because they're just nutrient dense foods, period. And so you're not wasting your time or your money, for that matter, by consuming any of them. They have value for just general health. But you did mention the beef organs product. It's really great. It's one of our most popular products, and if you really don't know where to start, that's a really good place to start, because it's equal parts liver, heart, kidney, pancreas, and spleen. And so you're just getting this very broad range of nutritional support there. So you're getting all the nutrient density of liver. You're getting all the CoQ10 support from heart. Kidney provides some protection against histamine and also supports detoxification pathways. You're getting pancreas, which if you have issues digesting protein, it has the proteolytic enzymes in there, and also supports pancreatic health and blood sugar normalization. You're also getting spleen, which helps support the immune system. It's also an important part of traditional Chinese medicine to support digestion. So you're just getting this really broad health promoting support there with that product.
Wow.
And that's probably a great place to start if you just have no idea, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
just let
because
your body do what it needs to do.
exactly. And then like a lot of people have low thyroid, and a lot of us all need, especially now I'm in the mitochondria function. I've been researching a lot and trying to put that was my plan I was writing about before I started to do the self-care. Like, okay, mitochondria function is huge to overall health. And I think a lot of chronic fatigue issues are and health issues are always seem to be related to mitochondria function. So the beef heart one says it powerhouse for the mitochondria. How's that work?
Well, you know, when you get back to like supports like, so if you want to support mitochondria, you want to eat tissue that's going to be mitochondrially dense. I think I just made up a word, but that's what you want. And so heart is one of those tissues that is extraordinarily dense with mitochondria. And so it's a direct support of those things. But one of the things that I'll say about mitochondrial health and health in general, and is that, you know, there are other aspects of ancestral health, or these other tenets that can also turn the dial as much or more than good nutrition. And so we're big proponents of intermittent fasting or prolonged fasting, of eating in a compressed window. We're big fans of resistance exercise and things like that are also going to help promote mitochondrial density and mitochondrial health. Also, you know, we're just proponents in general of providing those mechanisms to clean up mitochondria as well. So things that promote detoxification pathways and that promote apoptosis and all these other mechanisms that just provide avenues for us to be healthier. So it's, even though we definitely believe in our products and we believe in nutrition, we believe that there are these other really powerful mechanisms to help improve those things as well. And we try to point people towards those things as much as possible. And that's one of the conversations we have with a lot of people. So we'll have customers that will come to us and say, you know, I just don't think this product is working for me. I don't think that it did what it should have done for me. I'm, you know, and they're frustrated. And so we like to point them towards these other tenets. We like to point people towards, okay, tell us about how you're sleeping. You know, are you getting adequate sleep? Are you getting off your devices in time for your brain to kind of shut things down at night? Are you getting that good quality sleep? Are you getting the activity level that you ought to have? Are you moving throughout your day, or are you primarily sedentary? Are you lifting some heavy things occasionally and getting some resistance exercise? Are you bathing in electromagnetic fields throughout the day? Are you under fluorescent light all day long? You know, what are you eating regularly? What are you exposing yourself to that may also be causing some degradation of your health, or causing your body to not respond exactly the way that you would like it to?
Yes. And that's, you know, so essential, because I keep having to say this because I figured this out with some clients and myself, I did this for years. We try to out supplement poor lifestyle habits. And so I said, as a trainer for years, I said, you can't out exercise a poor diet. But now I'm saying, okay, on top of that, you can't out supplement poor lifestyle habits. So
That's
if you're
right.
trying to take like every one of these supplements and think you're going to fix yourself, it doesn't
That's
work.
right.
It's, and in FDN, as practitioners, is Reed Davis, the founder, created the Dress for Health Success program. That's called D's for diet, R's for rest, exercise, sleep or stress, and then supplementation. But the supplementation is just one part of it.
That's
not
right.
the other ones. And, you know, I know Mark Sisson's program, the Primal Coach, and what we do, Ben Greenfield created, what I did with the WHOLESTIC Method. It's all these elements. And I think that's what, you know, I was saying earlier, that people are just walking outside to be healthy. You know, it's working on what you're eating and when, how, why, working on getting outside and getting that daylight exposure, moving more, you know, getting strength. Because and all these people that, you know, a lot of my listeners are endurance athletes, and I keep wanting to say less is more, and then start lifting more, because you're getting that catabolic anabolic imbalance with all this stress in our life, and especially in our world right now. Less cardio and more lifting, I think, is big. So
yeah, that's probably not a popular sentiment with those people, is it, Debbie, to tell them less is more? And that's a hard concept to get over. But, you know, we point people towards activity levels that would be consistent with our ancestors. So being upright most of the time, walking throughout your day, you know, and I know, you know, there's all those studies that show that people that are primarily, even if people have a regular exercise program and they exercise 5-6 days a week, but they're sedentary otherwise, well, those people are still at higher risk for diabetes and high blood pressure, heart disease, all those sorts of things. So it's about reorienting, I think, your thoughts about how you move throughout your day. But we have a number of athletes of different varieties on our crew. So we have some CrossFit athletes, we have some people that are more endurance athletes. And so I think that everything kind of operates on this continuum, where certainly if you're participating in more endurance style work, well, that pulls you a little bit further in that continuum. If you're more of an explosive athlete, you're training for that, it pulls you a little bit further into that. But there has to be that balance in there somewhere as well. So one of the things that I've gotten into over the last probably 5 or 6 years or so is obstacle course racing. So that's kind of my way. I'm 46 now, and so I still like to do something to help keep me motivated. And so when I'm preparing for one of those, I do more cardio than I would normally do in my daily routine, just so that I'm prepared for whatever the particular length of that race might be. And so, but for the most part, I don't do a lot of cardio. So, but I think that idea that, you know, a continuum, it just kind of, it stretches and moves depending on what your goals, but you can't have all your eggs in one basket, because we're just not designed that way.
Yeah. Well, I learned that the hard way, doing Ironmans for years and trail running and, you know, marathons in my off season, that now it's, you know, especially this month, I'm doing a yoga challenge for followers to do yoga 3 times a week. Cause I used to do yoga like 5 times a week. I taught it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. And I'm doing Baron Baptiste yoga. He's one of my favorite teachers who I learned from as a yoga teacher, but he has, you know, yoga for athletes. And I think, you know, I've been posting them on my Facebook page, Low Carb Athlete page, and sharing them from YouTube. And it's a great time to mix it up and have that muscle confusion. You know, since we're stuck at home working out, we can't go to the gym, and I don't have heavy weights here, but I have like ab wheel, and I use bands, these Stroop bands, and making things harder by going slow and isometric and mixing it up, but going outside and realizing, okay, there's a sledge there. You can do step ups and lunges and push ups and whatnot. So it's just learning that, you know, we have imbalances and you have areas of opportunity, but what can you do to take care of the whole you, as we're, you know, in this world that's a little different. This could be the new normal for next 6 months, and maybe change the way people live. So talk about more. I know the website ancestralsupplements.com has some great tips on activating ancient pathways, sleep, nutrition, movement, and sun. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
And your
absolutely.
insight.
I think sleep is like the low-hanging fruit for health. It's one of those things that you can change, and you can change today. So we're big proponents of trying to maintain those normal circadian rhythms and doing whatever we can to try to normalize those things. I think a lot of people are aware of the issues with blue light, but some aren't. So screens and street lights and not incandescent lights, but fluorescent lighting and things like that, they emit that light that mimics the sun. And so when we're exposing ourselves to those things at unnatural parts of the day, it can have a dramatic impact on our sleep. And so one of the things we encourage people to do is to utilize blue light glasses, to shut screens down, to use things like salt lamps and other forms of warmer light in the evening, so that you're not exposing yourself to those things. Because I think a lot of people believe that just because they may drift off to sleep at a reasonable time and wake up at a reasonable time, that they're actually getting good deep sleep, and they may not be. And unless you utilize something like an Aura ring or something like that tracks your sleep patterns, you may not be aware of how poor the quality of your sleep is. But that has a dramatic effect on health in general, especially your immune system. So people can, during this time, can be trashing their immune system by staying up and watching Netflix until midnight or things like that. So we're big proponents of blue light blocking glasses and utilizing things like that. It's one of the cheapest things that you can purchase to invest in your health. And so that's usually where I would tell people to start, is get your sleep figured out. The other thing is and these things really kind of go hand in hand, but it's sensible sun exposure. So getting some exposure to morning, midday, and evening sunlight is actually a real critical factor for sort of setting those circadian rhythms. We love to go out and stare at the rising sun. I think, to put it in a poetic way, I think that we were born to stare at sunrises and sunsets. And I think that it does things for us on a cellular level. It does things for us on an emotional level. It touches our soul. Not to get too strange about that, but there's something about how we connect with the sun that's really, really special. But we also know all the values of sensible exposure to sunlight. It improves our mood. It helps us produce vitamin D. It has all these tremendous health benefits. So that's one of the things I think right now, we're during this time of quarantine, or whatever term that you want to use, is get out and get some sun exposure. Sleep well, get some sun exposure.
I posted a few weeks ago or last week on my social media that the new meaning of breakfast, lunch, and dinner doesn't mean eat. It means go outside.
Yeah,
walk.
It really
So
does.
I'm trying to create everyone's knowledge of, it's 7 a.m. I need to eat breakfast. No, it means go outside. Get up there when the sun is rising, as you're saying, and lunchtime, it's noon. All right, I don't need to go eat. I need to go walk first, and then eat when I'm hungry, not just eat mindlessly. That's the whole thing. I think so many people you read, I got to limit my time on Facebook because it's driving me nuts, but all these people seem to be like, I'm catching up on all these episodes of shows. And I think people are losing structure to their day. And so that's going to disrupt your circadian rhythm. They maybe feel like I can't go outside at all. I saw someone that had their 5-year-old kids on their bikes on trainers inside. I'm like, well, that's cool, but can't you go out and ride around your neighborhood? It's not like you can't leave your house and go outside and from your neighborhood. But watching the sunrise and sunset is, enormous. And I think of every time I love going to Hawaii, and I have to watch the sunset every night. It's my thing. And when I was there in October, I went for 2 weeks by myself because because I closed my business. I went through all this life change, and it was very emotional healing time for me. And I had this little place I could watch the sunrise every morning, and it was so magical, and it was so healing. It was crazy. So it is not woo-woo, but it is. It's like, why does that make me feel so good and calm and relaxed? And why do I have to watch the sunset every night? And you feel odd if you miss it. So it is kind of, your body tells you that I need that.
I always find it fascinating when you experience something and you sort of know the truth of that thing intuitively.
Yeah.
But then you go and read about what's actually happening in your body from a chemical perspective when you expose yourself to that sort of stimulus. So exactly what you're saying. I think, from an emotional perspective, for me, one of the things about watching the sunrise or the sunset is it's a reminder that the world doesn't revolve around me, that there's a bigger picture to this world, and I'm a part of it. And then there's just this feeling of gratitude, I think, of just being able to be a part of something so magnificent. So that's the woo-woo part of it, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But then there's all these little triggers in our circadian rhythms and all these things biochemically that are going on as well. That's just a design of our biology, that we were made to be a part of that. And it is one of those things, Debbie, where this is the perfect time to do that. So many of us have been, and in my former career, this was much more the case for me, is you're trapped inside a building for 8 to 10 hours a day, and you're sometimes, I would be in the office before the sun rose, and then leaving the office after the sun would set, and
driving home in the dark. You go to work in the dark. You come home, it's dark.
That's right. And so just completely unnatural. And this is a perfect time to ground yourself back in some of those things, that natural rhythm of life. You were, like you were saying, that some people may feel a little bit lost because they've lost the structure that they normally have, but this is an opportunity to take advantage of this new sort of structure. My kids are actually, my kids go to public school. So their schedule is dramatically different now than what it was before, and they're actually now sleeping more, and they have a much better schedule. And I have laughed that I think that they will probably come out of this thing healthier than they were before.
Yeah,
they're going to get to more fully participate in all of these things that we believe in, because the structure, the normal structure and parameters have changed. The game has changed a little bit.
I did ask that too the other day. I was like, I don't have children, but whose kids, high school, college, and elementary school, whose kids everyone's out of school, obviously, but are you making them go to school and have a schedule? Because I see all these kids playing when I go for my walks. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be in school? Air quotes around that. But I feel like a lot of people have their kids on spring break or on vacation. But I want to say, this is your new way you have to be educated. And how do you discipline and create a school environment at home when you are a stay-at-home parent now and you're working full-time at home, and you have to have, I think it's very stressful for people, but I think it's so important to give kids a schedule as well and get them to still learn and grow and develop as they should if they're in a school.
Yeah, absolutely. At home now, for me, we are taking some cues from other people that we know that already homeschool, and so they're already know how to do this. But we are keeping our kids on a schedule, but we're also scheduling in workout time and time to walk and time to be outside, and so incorporating those principles in with their daily routine, now that we have a bit more control over it. So it's been kind of nice, actually.
Well, that's what I was going to finish with is talking about schedules. And I actually have I'm having fun. We're both working at home, as long as I don't watch the news, and you don't want to watch it at night before bed because it's depressing and it's very, very stressful and frustrating and confusing time. And when you watch the news, all the people that are dying, just the spread, and it's just horrible. So you have to kind of limit that much time. But then if you connect with, what's going on in your own environment, and I'm usually never home, and we travel a lot for conferences or work trips and just weekend trips in general. And it is kind of a fun camping out for the month, and I'm trying to make the best of it. And we're both working at home, and I don't set alarm. It's such a treat to me because I'm always, leaving the house at 5 in the morning, and then I have this, different schedule each day. But now it's okay. We're gonna wake up when we get up, so it's usually still early, and then I create a workout that we do in our home gym, and then we go for a walk. So then we feel like we're coming home and we're going to work. So then you kind of shift, like, okay, I have to leave the house and come back in to make I feel like I went somewhere. I drove to the office, and then we say, okay, going to work. He's over down the hallway and I'm in the other room. And you have to have this new sense of schedule and purpose to your day to keep kind of life, I don't know, interesting and healthy. But for me, it's, doing that, then it's lunchtime. All right, we're going to meet, go for a walk, and we're talking more, we're spending more time together. So it's very healthy, I think, for families right now to reconnect and then have that type of structure. Then at dinner time, we go for a walk at night, and, going to bed is a little bit different because I'm not going to bed as early as it was, but I'm going, still have that structure and getting more sleep probably, and having, less busyness outside. So I think it is healthy if you just don't sometimes need to ignore what's really going on sometimes to get through this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I've sort of designated myself to be the news filter for my family. So I think it's important to stay aware of those things, but it's very easy to become consumed by those things. And so I think that equally important is to focus on things that you are grateful for. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing. Grateful for the time, grateful for the change. And it's, it's hard to be anxious when you're being grateful, or when you're being mindful of the things that you're grateful for. And I think that that's a good way to kind of maintain your mindset. But I also think too, though, is, focus on health. So focus on your personal health, focus on the health of your relationships. You're stuck with these people. This is a perfect time to have the conversations you never have.
Yeah.
It's the perfect time to, if you have kids, to spend more time with them, spend more one-on-one time with them, maybe that you don't have the opportunity to do. This is though we are not huge proponents of relying on technology, it seems like this is the perfect time to utilize those things and reach out to people that you haven't reached out to. Maybe, resolve some conflicts with people that you have had. All those things I think are healthy ways of kind of keeping a positive mindset and keeping on track. But it's a perfect time to make those changes. I love the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. It's an old classic, and one of the things that Covey talks about, the first thing first, it's the third law of highly effective people. And so you separate things into sort of a decision grid based on necessity. So, and the grid is basically, there are some tasks that are both urgent and important, and those are the things that have to get done. There are things that are urgent but not important, and those are the things that you should just push off to someone else. And then there are things that are not urgent and not important, and those things you shouldn't worry about those at all. But one of the most important categories is the things that are important but they're not urgent. And so they are the things that you in your typical life you probably push off, and even though they're important, you don't make time to do them because you're doing the things that are both urgent and important. But oftentimes these things that are important but not urgent are the things that are important for us developing as a person, developing our character, improving our health, improving our relationships. Well, there is no better time than now to work on those things. So if you're lucky enough to be one of those people that's at home and is still healthy and not dealing with some of the things that many people are dealing with right now, this is the perfect opportunity to focus on those things that you never have an opportunity to focus on.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for that. Yes, I've been trying to write. My husband started last night writing in a journal each night and things we're grateful for. And I think it's really beneficial. And I've done that for 5 years. And when I do my transformation, the holistic method program, and have people write, because the 8th element of the holistic method is happiness and play and laughter, gratitude. And I feel lately I'm just trying to promote happiness and on my social media pages and saying, what'd you do today that made you smile? How did you do something that made you laugh? And what can you do? And we scheduled some Zoom calls with friends and I challenge people to schedule time and make an appointment. You know, I send them my Zoom for podcasting, so I have it already set up, but it's, you know, nice to send people an invitation, say, hey, let's have a, 30-minute time to chat and do a call, because as this goes on for a longer time, I really think it's essential to have that personal connection. But this is, you got to do it on video if people are following the rules of social distance, which I am being very strict, because I don't feel like I'm healthy, even though I do everything. I am healthy on the outside, but I'm not inside. And I think I'm a good example of, you don't, I think that's why it keeps spreading, is my thing I keep writing about. It's like, you're not as healthy as you think you are, and you're not as resilient as you should be. And even though we're healthy, but we're not really healthy on the inside. So it's taken this opportunity, as we're talking about today, to self-care and do all these different things, these lifestyle habits, and what you're eating, and, look at ancestral supplements to fill in those voids, because it is the time that we should be doing this. And this is essential to protect yourself, because this isn't just going to suddenly go away. And I'm hoping this lesson we are getting from this pandemic is that it needs to be urgent message for people to start taking care of themselves, because obviously the world is not healthy. This is exact proof of how healthy are you.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and you can see it in the statistics. Those that seem to have been most vulnerable are those that have these pre-existing health conditions. And so, if we could just work on resolving those things, we'd be better off going forward, because there'll be something else like this down the road. And so, I hope that it's just eye-opening for people. It's it's time.
Yep. Yeah, so I could keep talking forever. Suddenly it's been an hour. I told you, I say 30 to 45 minutes, and suddenly it's like, all right, let's stop. But I will put everything in the show notes. We got great articles you guys have on ancestralsupplements.com, and I'll put links for that. And then anything else we have to add, I will do that.
Great, Debbie.
No, so thanks so much for sharing your hour with me.
Yeah, so much fun to talk to you.
All right. So thanks, everyone. I'll put this on the YouTube channel so people can listen and watch, and then it'll be on the podcast apps as well. So you can ask any questions. What's your website, Corey, to send people to, or social media?
It's pretty easy. It's www.ancestralsupplements.com, all spelled out, no spaces or anything like that. And our Instagram page is at Ancestral Supplements. So pretty easy. Come chat with us. Any questions? We love them.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks, guys.